For those of you that aren't already aware, this was the focus of an ARCE restoration project that began in 2019 that focused primarily on the physical restoration of this cemetery, which is one of the surviving components from a historic Jewish cemetery that was located here in Basatine, as well as some cleanup and maintenance on other surviving portions of the cemetery. We were able to do this project through a generous grant that was given to us from the Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation from the U.S. Embassy in Cairo here. And we were able to also install a memorial to the Egyptian Karaite community with a very generous donation from the Karaite Jews of America. All of our partners are here today with us. That includes the Drop of Milk Association, who are the stewards of the cemetery and were an invaluable partner throughout the project. The U.S. Embassy, who of course gave us the grant, and then the Karaite Jews of America, who enabled the installation of the memorial. We'll have some brief remarks from all of our partners, beginning with Magda Haroun, who is the head of the Jewish community and the Drop of Milk Association here in Cairo. So please join me in welcoming Magda to the floor.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being here with us today. For me, it's a very emotional day. I must tell you, when I came here for the first time in this burial area in the 2013, I was attacked with knives outside because the squatters did not want me to come in. This area and the area that adjacent were warehouse or a dump for tires, and I walked around in the area and I saw just in the street behind a tomb, and for me it broke my heart because these people, this burial area was desecrated. For me it was very important to safeguard what's left of it, and it was my dream that one day it will be a place that people will come and visit and know about the Jews of Egypt, the Karaite and the Rabbinites. Today my dream comes true, and I hope that one day also we'll have the center, a small center here, to have interaction with the people around us, to explain to them whom we were and why we are doing this. We are doing this, first of all, for our ancestors, and secondly, for our country, because this is part of their heritage. Thank you very much. And I would like to thank the ARCE and the U.S. Embassy, because without the fund, we would not be able to achieve what we achieved today. Thank you. And of course, the Karaites from all over the world.
Thank you, Magda. Next up, we have David Ovadia from he's the president of the Karaite Jews of America. So please welcome David.
Thank you. It's a great pleasure and honor to be here among all kind of people, which is really something that it's, like Magda was saying, it brings tears to the eyes, but it's unbelievable. It's like a dream come true.
Louder, David.
Louder, okay. Is that better? Okay. So I want to thank Magda for her words and everything else. First, I want to thank the American Embassy and ARCE, Drop of Milk, for all the individual who helped on this project. And I know there is a lot of people that ended up working and making, looking at this is just like a dream versus looking at what it was before. It's hard to celebrate, and this is a great moment to celebrate this occasion. If it weren't for this project, I wouldn't be here at all. Visiting Cairo, being in here, it's a wonderful journey, and I left the past basically a while back, but it's not out of my mind. It's still, memories and everything else are still there, and they're very sacred. I have deep memories of my childhood, and I'm experiencing with my fresh eyes today, after being here after 60 years. I left when I was 12 years old as a boy. Today, we honored the official inauguration of the Garden of Remembrance to honor the Karaite Jewish community of Cairo. This restored gravesite of the Leisha and Menashe family are a testimony of the thousands of Karaite Jews buried here over a millennium. A community that no longer exists in Cairo. It is incredible, important to document their stories, to share our heritage, to ensure that our children and grandchildren visit, to inspire the people to learn more about our ancestor, vibrant history, and contribution to both Egyptian society and the world. Today we give light to the stones, which is what has been done in here. It's incredible what happened so far. We must write our story. It's very important that we, as the Karaite Jews, write our story and not let others write it for us, because nobody else really knows our full stories completely. We hope that many visitors who come here to this sacred place will understand the significance of what it represents and will be inspired to learn more about the Karaite Jewish community in Cairo and Egypt, obviously. Our close friend, the Cohen, if you can raise your hand, all people, Cohen, my dad, and David, came from the United States with us to celebrate this monumental, really extraordinary event, beyond my expectation. And it's unfortunate that two of their children and one granddaughter had to leave this morning to fly back. I'd like to thank and foremost my wife, Mary Ellen, who helped great amount of help, support, that without her, I don't think I would be able to do a lot of the accomplishment that was done not only on this project, but on many other opportunities. Mary Ellen and I hope to return, like Magda said, one day when we continued support to welcome you maybe in an opening of a visitor center, which is the plot between those two areas. Let us together find more ways to celebrate the entwined Judaic-Arabic history. And finally, I want to personally recognize the Charge d'Affaires, Daniel Rubinstein, and his team, his team from the American Embassy, Louise, Nicholas, Liska, who's had to go back to Washington, and the rest of the people from ARCE, Magda Haroun, and especially Danny Ibrahim, who worked very closely and spent thousands, I would say, of hours working on this event and many other things. And for the success of this project. Last but not least, I want to recognize and thank Eli Tahan, who came in here from Israel to help recognize and to see for himself everything in here, and the Cohen family in their encouragement and support for this project. This is an important project, and the publicity of this event is an example of how things are changing. We must forgive, be compassionate, educate, and hope that collaboration will continue to increase. is very important. This is a symbol, it's a start, it's something that needs to be built on, and I hope that this becomes the first seed that encourages things to grow, just like the Garden of Remembrance, all those trees and everything else that are going on. I also look forward for the reception this evening, where I'll be sharing some more of my thoughts and also my personal story from Cairo to California. Now I'd like to invite Ellie to join me where we're going to do the Zecher, which is basically a remembrance prayer. And after that, we're going to have the English translation, which Mary Ellen will read, and then Mary Ellen and Daniel Rubenstein are going to do the Kaddish in here with it also. So let's get started on that.
Or should I get first?
זכרונתו והן וחסד ורחמים וחמלה וחנינה ורצון וכפרה מלפני אלוהי הרוחות לכל בשר שהוא צור עולמים על נפש כבוד מעלת על הנשים, which is meaning for all the people, since we don't know a lot of the people names, expressing that as all the people. בכל מתי עמו בית ישראל שעברו מן העולם הזה במה אמר אלוהי ישראל בחפצו וברצונו וחלכו לבית עולמם בשם טוב וזכר טוב ובמעשים טובים. אלוהי ישראל יזכרם ברצונו עמו ויפקדם בשועתו ככתוב זוכרני אדוני ברצון עמך וקודני בשועתך לראות בטובת בחיריך לשמוח בשמחת גוייך להתהלל עם נחלתך וייתן חלקם וגורלם עם הצדיקים ועם המשכילים ככתוב והמשכילים יזהירו כזוהר הרקיע ומשתיקי הרבים ככוכבים לעולם ועד נפשם בתוקתלים וזרעם ומשפטיהם ירשו ארץ יבוא שלום ינוע על משכבותם הולך ככוחו ויקיים עליהם מקרא שכתוב יעלזו חסדים בכבוד ירדעו להם במשכבותם ורזרו על הצדיק ולישרי לב שמחו צדיקים באדוני ועדו לזכר קודשו אז יתבקע כשחר אורך וחורתך מחרה תשמח וחל לך לפניך סיכה כיבוד אדוני יאספך נחתם לעד. אמן. מריון, I'm going to just read the translation in English.
May this be a memory for good and grace and kindness and compassion and mercy and reprieve and favor and atonement before God, the God of the spirits of all flesh, the one who is the rock of eternity, for the souls of the honorable and dignified who have departed from this world at the decree of the God of Israel at his desire and wish, for they have gone to their eternal place with a good name and a good memory, and with good deeds. May the God of Israel remember them with the favor he shows his people and all people. And may he notice them with his salvation. And when we say this, of course, we're thinking about the many, many thousands of people, Jews, who have been buried here since the Basatine Cemetary was established in the 8th century. As it is written, remember me, O Lord, when you favor your people. Notice me with your deliverance in order to see the goodwill of your chosen, in order to rejoice in the joy of your nation, in order to give praise in your heritage. And may he place his share and lot among the righteous, the flies, and those who are wise, as it is written. As it is written, and the wise ones shall shine like the brightness of the sky, and those who bring the many to righteousness, like the stars forever and ever. His soul shall lodge in contentment, and his seed and family shall inherit the land. One comes in peace if one walks in one's upright presence. They shall rest on their beds. And may that which is written in this verse be fulfilled for him. Let the pious exult in glory. Let them sing for joy in their beds. Light is sown for the righteous, and happiness for the upright in heart. Rejoice in the Lord, O righteous ones, and give thanks to his holy name. Then your light shall break forth as the morning, and your healing shall speedily sprout forth, and your righteousness shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your amazement.
Amen.
Next up, I think we also have some remarks coming from Ali Tahan, the head of the International Karaite community.
First of all, I must say that it's very exciting to be here. It's not so simple that I'm here. I'm born in Israel, my parents born in Egypt, in Heart El Yehud, and I'm here after, how to say, about more than 70 years that my parents live Egypt to Israel. And here we have 4 teams, or more than 4 teams, that take part of this project and working together. How to say, Sami and Magda and Drop of Milk team, the ARCE, the American Embassy, the United States from David and his wife, myself and my organization from Israel, and together working as a team. We have a conference call. We together make a plan, planning, agree, decide, and make it implementing here, as you see, with a lot of thanks to Sami and his team and Magda. I'm really honored to see here all the team that come to here to see this place, place after it was renovated and renew this place. I'm really exciting, so excuse me for my feeling that it's not difficult to be here. That's the first time I'm here, and it's very important to me to take part in this event. This is the reason I come from Israel, to see all this team personally, and thank all of you. Thank you, and hope that will be more and more projects like this, and we'll be work as a team, even from different countries, different culture, but we are all of us human rights, and we are one person and one team. Thank you very much for all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. And then last but certainly not least, we have the charge. Oh my goodness, Luis, Dr. Bertini. There we go. The Executive Director of ARCE, Dr. Luis Bertinis, are going to give remarks, followed by the charge.
I guess almost forgot about us. Anyway, on behalf of the American Research Center in Egypt, I of course want to welcome you all here, and I'm honored to be a part of this ceremony and have ARCE be a part of celebrating yet another aspect of Egypt's incredibly rich and diverse cultural heritage, and ensuring that we can continue to preserve this just immense cultural heritage for generations to come. And I'm also honored to be sharing in this moment that is so very personal and profound for so many of our guests today. I'd also like to thank both Magda Haroun and Sami Ibrahim for their partnership, along with the Drop of Milk Foundation, and your leadership and guidance for this project have been so critical. I also want to extend thanks to His Excellency Ambassador Daniel Rubenstein, who's joining us on behalf of the U.S. Embassy, along with the rest of the U.S. Embassy team who is here today. In 2019, ARCE was awarded a U.S. Ambassador's Fund for Cultural Preservation grant in the amount of $150,000 to conduct the management and conservation plan for this historic Jewish cemetery at Basatine. The project commenced in December 2019, and despite the challenges that took place at the time, the team, including, of course, the director, Dr. Nicholas Warner, along with Mohammed Mokhtar, Ahmed Shafiq, Hani Gamal, Khalid El-Said, Mahmoud Ashraf, Mahmoud Ezzat, Mahmoud Abdallah, and Habatullah Murad, worked through this challenging pandemic and completed this wonderful project. The funding received from the U.S. Ambassador's Fund allowed us to then begin the work on this important project to give the cemetery the respect and attention it deserves. And in the fall of 2020, ARCE conducted a webinar on our work at Basatine, supported by the Ambassador's Fund. During that webinar, in attendance was David Ovadia and Marianne Himmel, who joined at the invitation of an ARCE member who had interest. And then that was the beginning of this fruitful partnership to bring us to where we are today. And on behalf of ARCE, we express our sincerest gratitude and thanks to David, Marianne, and the entire Karaite Jews of America. And your dedication has truly given life to these stones. So we're honored to have you all here with us today, and to welcome you back to Egypt, and to also open this project. And with that, I will turn it over to Ambassador Rubenstein.
Thank you very much, Magda and Sami, David and Mary Ellen, Mr. El-Tahan, Dr. Bertini, Dr. Warner, honored guests. It is a true pleasure to join you this morning for the official inauguration of this project, over 3 years in the making, to restore the Karaite portion of Cairo's Jewish cemetery. We are indeed especially pleased and moved to welcome David Ovadia, President of the Karaite Jews of America, back to Egypt for the first time since 1962. Established in 1482 by Mamluk Sultan Al-Ashraf Qaid Bey in response to a request by Cairo's Jewish leaders to expand their existing cemetery in Fustat, this hallowed ground is but a small portion of what is one of the oldest working Jewish cemeteries in the world. At its largest, the Basatine Jewish Cemetery complex covered 147 hectares, larger than the National Mall in Washington, D.C., the 2-mile wide field between the U.S. Capitol and the Lincoln Memorial. More important than its size, however, the Basatine Cemetery has served Egypt's thriving Jewish community, which grew throughout the centuries. By 2018, the historic cemetery of Basatine, a symbol of interreligious tolerance dating back to the 15th century, was beset by illegal dumping, encroachment of modern highways and neighborhoods, and scavenging of marble and metal from grave sites. In fact, this area, the Lisha and Menashe Cemetery, named for the members of the two families buried here since 1937, is the sole surviving portion of what had been the Karaite section of the original cemetery. But even with these challenges, Egypt's Jewish community still had advocates who were determined to preserve the legacy of this sacred place. Magda Haroun from the Drop of Milk Foundation, a charitable organization founded back in 1921 to support disadvantaged members of Cairo's community, raised awareness of the plight facing Cairo's remaining Jewish cemeteries. And in recognition of the value of Egypt's Jewish culture and heritage, the government of Egypt issued a series of executive orders in 2018 to preserve the remaining monuments and tasked the municipalities with cemetery cleanup efforts. The American Research Center in Egypt, ARCE, specifically identified the Lisha and Menashe Cemetery as a priority for rehabilitation and refurbishment. My predecessors saw an opportunity for the Ambassadors Fund for Cultural Preservation to help with these efforts. Established in 2001, the Ambassadors Fund supports the preservation of cultural sites around the world. Here in Cairo, for instance, through the Ambassadors Fund, the U.S. Embassy has just restored the mausoleum of Imam Shafi'i, the burial place and shrine of the founder of one of the four main schools of Sunni Islam, and the temple of Seti I in Abydos, a necropolis for Egypt's earliest kings. And through the grant of $150,000, which you heard earlier described, work began to refurbish the space we are in today, paying for the restoration of this corner of the cemetery, as well as the cataloging of other areas of Basatine and a management plan to help sustain Drop of Milk's future efforts to preserve Cairo's Jewish sites. But it's not just the work of the U.S. Embassy that has made this possible, and I would like to join others in recognizing and thanking David Ovadia from the Karaite Jews of America, who organized the provision of a generous donation that funded additional landscaping, benches, and signage, which attest to the rich history of Cairo's Karaite Jewish community. This story, however, is but one chapter of the U.S. government's long history of partnership to preserve, restore, and protect cultural and religious sites around the world, and especially here in Egypt, Dunya. Over the past 25 years, the United States has given over $100 million to preserve Egypt's archaeological treasures for future generations and to contribute to Egypt's tourism sector. In so doing, we have protected more than 85 cultural heritage and religious sites from Egypt's Islamic, Coptic, Jewish, and Pharaonic civilizations across Egypt. I look forward to continuing this work together, and I'm pleased to join all of you in inaugurating this project toward which so many have applied so much dedication and goodwill. Thank you very much.
We're going to do the ribbon cutting ceremony now, which will be over here at the entrance to the prayer room with Mary Ellen and the mourners.
Before we do that.
Okay.
For all of us who are buried here.
Okay. And the Schriftsteller Daniel Rubenstein, and that will be preceded by
So David and Ellie presented the Zecher Memorial, which is the Karaite prayer for the dead. And I will be presenting the Mourner's Kaddish, which is the Rabbinite version of what we say to honor those who have passed. And this larger Basatine Cemetery was the final resting place, as we know, for many, many thousands of Jews of every type in Cairo. And those who were born here, those whose ancestors or family members had moved here from across the diaspora, had come to Egypt and are buried here. So I want to just take a quick second and explain what the Mourner's Kaddish is, because it is an interesting example of some intertwined aspects of the Judaic Arabic culture. The Kaddish is a 13th century Aramaic prayer said during traditional prayer service. The Kaddish means sanctification in Aramaic. And of course, that is the root of also one of the roots of Hebrew. And it is related to the Hebrew word kadosh, which means holy. Of the 5 variations of the Kaddish, the best known is the mourner's Kaddish. The prayer never mentions death. It never mentions death or dying, but instead proclaims the greatness of God. By reading it, mourners show that even as their faith is being tested by loss, they are affirming God's greatness. And I think that is something all of us should really understand. It applies to every faith, everywhere. And so Ellie and Jacob, will you join me? And Ambassador, join me? Because I need some help. I need a backup team. Yitkadal, v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yal divrah hiruteh, v'yamlich malhuteh, v'chayhon uve'mom omikon uchaye dekol beit Yisrael, ba'agalah, v'izman kariv imru amen. Yehi shemei rabbah, mevorach le'olam omei omraya. Yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitraman, v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit halev, v'yit halal, shemei b'kudashah, b'rechu, le'elah min kol birhata, v'shirata, d'ushbahata, v'nehemata, da'amiran, v'alma, v'imru, amen. Yehi shloma rabah min shemaya, v'chayim, eleinu v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imramav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Amen.
Very interesting place we're all looking at here, but it's not as important and personal as much as to me and my wife. Why? People that were buried here, Dr. Menashe delivered my wife and all her siblings. His son. The family delivered.
The son who bought this plot for his father,
delivered the son who bought the place for his father, delivered my wife and all her siblings. He was also a cousin of my grandmother. So you can see how much emotional this place is to me and my family. And I'd like to thank everybody here for sanctifying my family. I was born here in Abbasiyah. I still maintain my language, and I'm proud to be American and Egyptian of ancestry. Thank you.
And then I think just very quickly before we do the ribbon cutting ceremony, there is something that Ali Tahan would like to give to Dr. Bertini.
On behalf of the Karaite community all over the world, we would like to thank the ARCE for all the action and support, even in this day. Many thanks, and this is very small things that represent the cooperation, the support. And we wrote here only 2 words: well done. It's a very symbolic part, but it's very important.
And then let's get the scissors ready. Everybody please join us for the ribbon cutting ceremony.
I think this gentleman probably should have a set of scissors.
מרגש, אין דברים כאלה.
I think we need to.
Let's get it again.
Heads are good again. Do it
Within the group.
We can just hold, we can just hold it right. We'll just hold it right.
Sure, I can take it. Ambassador, I can take your folder if you like.
Come closer.
Come on, Magda. She's shy. Yalla, Magda. It's you did.
Sammy and the ambassador, I think you should be in here.
Sammy, come on, Sammy. Sammy, come on.
Sammy will not do it.
Come here, Sammy. Don't be shy. Come.
שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו בשלום לזמן הזה, אמן.
Amen.
Should we do it again? Where's the scissors? He'll show the magic parting of the
We don't have the
ambassador, yeah.
No. You will do it. Why don't you all hold the scissors together? Okay.
Good. Good. Yay.